Mitt Romney, the Republican challenger, was on 60 Minutes. Elon, did you watch it?
I did get to catch a clip of that a bit, Eljoy.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not chasing after Mitt Romney at this point for information on him. I feel like I know who you are. Like, and I know, and maybe I'm one of those annoying voters who's already made up their minds by September. But unless I find out that Obama has a bag full of puppy heads and baby legs that he just keeps hidden somewhere for a
Would that
snack,
really influence your vote?
that might influence my vote. I
I
might
mean,
not be.
because what does that have to? I mean,
I might be a little bit uncomfortable with the guy who eats baby heads and I mean puppy heads and baby legs for
oh, you
lunch.
said baby legs.
Yes, yes, that's what I said.
Oh dear.
That's
The
right.
elder said, "Oh dear."
No.
Yes, if all of a sudden that was the case, then yes, I would maybe have to reconsider my vote. Even though if he was like eating those baby legs and puppy heads, and he was like, "But listen, y'all need insurance." I mean, where did he get the baby legs?
Oh, Lord. Anyway, so Mitt Romney did a 60 Minutes interview. And, I mean, there's always gold. And anytime you just give a mic to Mitt Romney and let him talk, he, like, circles around and says something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of those things that he said, he's basically...
Hey, I don't know. I think I might have a clip of this because it was that magically ridiculous that I was like, you know what we need on the show? A clip of this.
Does the government have a responsibility to provide health care to the 50 million Americans who don't have it today?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them care. And different states have different ways of providing for that care.
That's the most expensive way to do it.
Well,
In the emergency room.
Different states have different ways of doing that. Some.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did he just suggest that we use emergency rooms?
Ambulances got you, son.
Yeah.
Is that
Just
his?
go,
Is that his
just
plan?
go to the emergency room.
Was that the candidate for president of the United States plan just now?
Yeah.
Yep.
No. I'm sorry. I misread. I misheard that. Hold on. Rewind. Come again.
The government have a responsibility to provide health care to the 50 million Americans who don't have it today?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them.
So hey, Mitt Romney, this is just a weird question for you. Do you know how many people have those heart attacks when those ambulances finally come? Do you know how many of those people actually, if they had preventative care, might not have had a heart attack in the first place?
Yep.
So you're saying that it's cool because we already take care of those people? Really?
Well, and he's also saying this and how woefully ignorant he is, or at least he has to know better, and he has to
here's
know
how much he knows better,
he-
Eljoy. This morning, I wish I could. I was looking for the clip myself. This morning, Morning Joe actually had a clip of him on Morning Joe 2 years ago, saying that it was ridiculous that people would use the ER as whatchamacallit, as healthcare, because that ends up, when they don't pay, it ends up as a burden on taxpayers. So when you hear Mitt Romney say this,
the government have a responsibility to provide health care to the 50 million Americans who don't have it today?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die.
You made the grandfather to Obamacare. Why are you pretending like you don't understand the situation?
Well, what's interesting about this too, particularly him coming from from
Massachusetts.
a reform program that sort of reduced emergency room visits, like because of the reform program when he, that he introduced, it actually reduced emergency room visits, which also reduced the cost, because that was the the reason. And majority of people, there's a high percentage of people who do go to the ER. They're going there because they do not have insurance and they know that they will get coverage. And majority of the time they go is because of stomach aches or acute diseases that they already have. You know, someone like Elon, who if he didn't have insurance and say he had a diabetic attack or something, what would you do, Elon? Go to the emergency room because you don't have an insurance, rather than going to your primary care doctor and managing your disease beforehand, right? So they estimate about $4 billion in unnecessary ER visits, when you could have just seen, your primary physician if you had insurance.
Well, but why no one cares about that, obviously. And I don't, Eljoy, did you hear what he said?
I did.
Did you hear what he said? Like, I feel like my brain's not accepting the words, because you can't say that and be running for president, right?
The government have a responsibility to provide health care to the 50 million Americans who don't have it today?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them care. And different states have different ways of providing for that care.
That's the most expensive way to do it.
Well, in
the emergency room.
Different states have different ways of doing that. Some provide that care through clinics. Some provide the care through emergency rooms. In my state, we found a solution that worked for my state. But I wouldn't take what we did in Massachusetts and say to Texas, you've got to take the Massachusetts model.
Why?
Does the government have a responsibility?
I'm sorry. I just want. Why? Someone explain to me why.
Why what?
Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you take what you did in Massachusetts and then apply it elsewhere? Why? Can anyone answer that?
Well, his party doesn't like what he did in Massachusetts.
I can't.
They don't like it, so that's the long and the short of it. They didn't like it, and then now it has to go.
Well,
that's
real. Just in case you didn't understand, that's real. That happened yesterday. Like, things keep going down in this, and they keep going, well, he'll just reset. Well, he'll just start over. Well, we'll start from here. And at what point is this a part of the actual narrative? At what point is it that? And I'm sorry, I have not seen nearly enough outrage about this statement today. Like, people are talking about, but people are just people are outraged.
Have outrage fatigue.
I was about to say, Mitt Romney says something every 5 days that makes everyone freak out.
Or he changes his campaign, or he changes his life, or his taxes, and all of that other stuff is just like...
I need people to be losing their marbles right about now. This dude just said some outlandish, especially as someone who has just got health insurance. Like, and maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm too close to this. Maybe it's way too serious for me because I just got health insurance. My primary care was, in fact, a ER, and I would sit there and something would be wrong with me. I'd be in excruciating pain or just miserable, and I would have to think to myself, is it worth the debt? Because that's what I was doing. It wasn't that I was going to go there and just get free health care. I was thinking, crap, I'm going to have to pay for this. I'm going to have to, is it worth the thousands of dollars that it's going to cost for me to go to the hospital right now? Because people also act like they just give you the best health care once you walk in there. Forget that. When you first walk into a hospital, guess what? They don't want you in the ER unless you just got shot in the face, which I have been.
Or you have a heart attack.
Or you have a full-on heart attack. They don't want you in the ER. If you have heart palpitations and stuff like that, they will say, hey, go home, relax, and go to a doctor on Monday. That is what they will ask you to do, or whenever the next doctor is. They don't want you to be in the room, and you're telling me that that's how we're dealing with the uninsured? Are you kidding me?
I hear you running.